This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, where in a single moment you can recognize your brilliance and change your life. This is a transformational hour that covers an array of topics that demonstrate how individuals use their native talents, as shown in their name, to look at the ordinary in extraordinary ways. Albert Einstein once said that everybody's a genius. Why would one of the smartest people on the planet declare that everyone is a genius unless he knew that to be true? I'm your host, Sharon Lynn Wyeth, creator of Namology Science and author of Know the Name, Know the Person. And in each weekly show, you'll hear the fascinating ways other people discovered the genius in them and what they were able to accomplish. At the end of each show, you'll hear clues on how you can recognize your own innate genius. All over the world, people have many, many diverse interests. And in that vein, people have asked about different occupations and areas of life that have highly interested them. People want to know how highly successful people have managed to achieve their genius mindset by utilizing the gifts that are seen in their name, utilizing namology science. So how does someone express their creative talents, and how does someone share those gifts with others in such a way that everybody benefits? Our expert tonight is Pat Robertson Rice, who has developed her genius in the area of getting spiritual answers. Pat Rice is one of those rare individuals who happens to understand how the universal laws were enacted upon the earth. Her studies are varied and include religious doctrine. If you'd like to know how some of the rules operate here and how some of our lives are initially set up prior to being born, Pat is the one to see. Her abilities have astonished many and are accurately and are just amazing in her accuracy. Find out how she does what she does tonight on this show. To let everyone know, Pat asks the universe questions on your behalf and gets these incredible answers. I had a session with her in 2009 on a recommendation of a friend and was so impressed with the quality and value of the information that I kept the recording even through many various moves, including moving overseas and back. At the end of Pat giving you detailed information, you get to ask questions. At the time, I remember thinking, nah, that's not going to happen, from the things that she answered with my questions. Even though the first part with the overview of the life I thought was incredible, the answers I thought, I don't even see how some of that's even possible. But I kept the tape because the first part was so valuable. When I was listening again to her tapes from, almost 9 years ago now, I realized that each and every situation that she had predicted, even as it seemed so unlikely at the time, came to pass exactly as she said it would. I haven't been so impressed since working with Afra Wesh, which was one of the few astrologers that Hitler didn't kill. So I am just delighted tonight that Pat Rice is with us. Pat's name indicates that she has a desire for the truth and will seek out the truth in as many ways as possible. Her name indicates that she has developed great discernment over the years. So welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You radio show, Pat.
Thank you so much for having me tonight, Sharon. It's very delightful to be associated with you again.
Well, this is just our pleasure. I just am thrilled for our listeners. Pat, would you please describe how you got started in serving others via this modality that you do and how you gained your knowledge to begin with?
Well, to begin with, I was connected as a child, and I thought everybody, saw angels and talked to angels, but it was only when I went to school that I realized everybody did not see the world the way I did, so I shut it down. And then when I was 43, my father died very unexpectedly, And I was very concerned, about, none of us expected him to die. So I kept praying that I would find, someone would let me know he was okay. And that's how I got started. One night, he just appeared in my room. And I don't mean the real person. I'm talking about, a being, a person that's like a ghost. And he told me quite plainly that I was not doing what I was supposed to do, which was to help others with spirituality. And so with that, I began reopening my gifts, I guess I would say, and exploring the world of spirituality. And that's where I've been for 25 years now.
Well,
and it's wonderful.
I'm so glad your dad told you that. Because we all get to benefit because of it, which I think is just, absolutely marvelous.
But see, there's something planned for everyone to open each person. And sometimes, unfortunately, we're not in the right place at the right time. So it's every person has a chance to open these wonderful gifts, God-given gifts that are inside. But we just have to be listening, I guess I would say.
Well, we need to take a break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which can also be heard on knowthename.com. After the break, we'll find out some of the knowledge that Pat has accrued over her lifetime and how life on Earth actually was set up to work.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyatt, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and knowthename.com. Our guest tonight is Pat Rice, whose website is spiritualbeings101.com. Okay, Pat, how did you know that you would be able to get such accurate answers that you do? And how did you go about developing your style of getting these answers? Because you work differently than just about anybody I know.
Mm-hmm. Well, I had a wonderful teacher, and she said the most important thing was learning to connect to your high self. The high self is the intermediary, like the person who has the plan for your life. And so if you can learn to connect to that, then you can get direct information. So I spent a number of years training to learn how to make that connection to the higher aspect of my being. And once I did that, then I realized very quickly that if I needed information for someone else, the best thing to do was to connect my high self, my higher aspect of my being, to theirs. So that's how I obtain the information, is by connecting my higher being to their higher being, and then asking the questions that need to be asked about that soul, about that person who's having the problem.
Now, you work with the universal life force energy called prana in India, or Shi in China, or Ki in Japan, and the Holy Spirit in the Christian religious texts. So,
yes.
So how do you go about accessing that force? I mean, is it in a way that anybody could learn how to do it?
Yes, and what opened it for me was working with Reiki. I was very interested in learning how to lay hands on people, when you were praying for them. And so I started off with Reiki and loved it so much that I became a teacher of that. And then I took various other classes and things. So I'm what you would call a hands-on healer. People come when they're sick, And then I'm also a person who tries to help people through the crises that they have in life.
Well, you've mentioned before that there are different stages or levels of a soul's growth, and that something like 5% of the world's population are old souls. So what are the different categories of souls, and why are we gaining more old souls now than there were earlier on the earth?
Okay. Now, the soul uses us, the soul is like a being, a celestial being. And it cannot stay on this planet because it's very high vibrational. So it needs the body. It needs the carbon body, just like someone looking in the mirror, the person. And then the person, you and me, carry the soul for its experiences down here. And so there are 108 lessons that the soul has to experience. Very few people understand that there's a purpose to the soul, and the soul is God's creation so that the soul can learn these lessons, just like we're sent through grades kindergarten through 12 to learn how to be a capable citizen. The soul comes to earth usually with 8 to 10 lessons each lifetime. So the first time you come down here to experience for God and to start learning how to be a better, a good person in, I would say, challenging circumstances or what have you, then you're called a level 1 soul. And when you've reached about 20% of your lessons, you're a level 2 soul, very similar to first grade and second grade. And then when you've learned 20 more percent, you become a level 3 soul, and 20 more percent level 4, until finally you get to the top level, which is called an old soul. Now, Webster would define an old soul, Webster's dictionary, as a person who seems to understand more about how to get along in life and do it well. That's what Webster would say. But an old soul, if we were speaking spiritually, would be a being who was pretty close to ascension. And ascension is spoken of in the Bible and every ancient book. And quantum physicians have even told us that if we reach 80 hertz, which is a frequency measurement that's 22,000 nanos per second, then the body can no longer remain on the earth. Gravity won't hold it, and it must ascend. We have 3 people everybody knows about in the Bible, Enoch and Elijah and Jesus, the Christed one, all who ascended, and people stood there and watched them as they disappeared up into the clouds. The Bible now is referring to the rapture, and many people are talking about the end days and the coming of the rapture. I didn't say any of that was true. I'm just making a statement that it's all in the Bible. The most interesting phenomenon is that we are being, I guess I would say, graced. I think that's a very good word to say. We have these phenomenal children who are being born now. They're called the New Millennium children, and they are children who are coming to our planet with their gifts, such as I learned when I was after 40 and 50 years old how to open my gift of healing and my gift of discernment of spirit. And these children are being born with much higher IQs. They're being born with spiritual gifts fully intact. And this is to help us as we bridge, as our earth rises in its vibration, that we will have some people on hand by the time they're 20 or 30 who will be able to help govern the world. I mean, if we look at the television tonight, Sharon, we just think, oh my God, look all over the world, what a mess. And so obviously the old ways of dealing here on this planet are just not going to work in the higher vibration that our planet's going to. So our planet has been trapped in a third dimension, and it is moving into the fifth dimension. And these are vibrations or frequencies. So we need some higher beings here to help us with the new way that the earth will be. So souls are determined, the level of the soul, by the number of lessons that they have completed. And the new children just come in. Now they are, they have to be born, and they have to go to school, and they have to learn how to get along with people and things like that. But they have superior intelligence. Sometimes we think about Einstein that you mentioned, and we say, well, where did he come from? I mean, how come we get these amazing geniuses like Henry Ford or, our inventors, Edison and so forth? And the answer is they had more strands of their DNA connected when they were in that lifetime. And so these children have more strands connected. And it's very exciting to think that this great plan that God has for this planet, everything has been planned. I mean, we have new people coming in to take over the government with higher IQs and higher gifts. So, I mean, it's wonderful. We're all moving in a much higher vibration. You can just ask one person, Sharon, and they will say, I don't know where time is going. You know, things happen so fast. And that's one indication of time speeding up and vibration speeding up that everybody talks about. This isn't just woo-woo stuff. I mean, this is science. You know, people say, oh, my God, I hardly get out of the bed before, you know, and it's nighttime again. So those are just some examples of how the world is changing.
So when you mentioned that the soul has 108 lessons to learn, all I could think of is when I've traveled in the East, and then some of the Catholics I know here, but also so many of the Easterns, they have those bead sets with 108 beads, and they're counting. Is that correlating to the 108 lessons?
They're usually counting, it's a lot of things that they can count, but many times they are counting the names of the saints when they do that, or they're counting the names of the blessings, you know, or they're counting the number of things that they have done in a day's time to ask for forgiveness. I mean, different countries count different things, but the Chinese Enneagram, you know, and China's been here a long, long time. The Chinese Enneagram, to me, has the 54 positive traits, and I think that those are some of the best words to work with. And then the Bible gives us the fruit of the Spirit. And so when you read, they will say we have many lessons that we have to learn in order to ascend and go to heaven and help God out, you know, up in the heavens. You know, the joke's on us, Sharon, because when we do finally finish with these lessons and we ascend and we go to heaven, we start all over again learning something new. There are 5 ways that you can serve God in heaven, and we just pick one of them and start learning all over again. So it's a spiral. I mean, we never quit, you know. And the people that have completed all of their lessons are generally referred to as the ascended masters. And you will hear those referenced in the Bible and in many spiritual books. So we know that people that were through with their lessons had very high attainments in those last few lifetimes.
So what other requirements must a soul learn and able to be finished with the earth cycles other than this 108? And we only have about a minute and a half for you, and then we can continue after the break.
This is a complicated thing, but I will say there is a definite thing. Number one, you have to complete a soul merge, and that means that you as a being, you as a person, have to be able to connect totally to your higher power and function in those higher lessons, you know, to be the best soul you can be. The second thing, which is sort of an interesting thing, is called your monadic merge, and that's kind of complicated, but anyway, and then as soon as that is done, you take your moment of ascension. So the soul merge is what most of us are trying to go through right now, to be able to connect to the higher being, you know, the higher aspect of our being. That's what most of us down here are trying to do by working through these lessons.
Okay, now I've never heard that word before. You said a magnetic merge. So what is that comes next?
MONAD, monadic merge, okay?
So that's with the monad, with the soul's monad.
This is the soul's monad, yeah. And a lot of people understand that, and then some don't. But those two things have to be completed. You know, I'll just say this, and just stop me if we're running over. When Jesus, the Christed One, left in the area of Nazareth and went over to India and Egypt, that's all he did was study with the sages and take these initiations, you know, that taught you the higher level of learning. And there were things You remember he
Okay,
was
so hold that thought for us. Hold that thought,
Okay.
because we need to take another break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. This show is dedicated to hearing another perception of the structure in our lives. After the break, we'll find out some different beliefs that Pat Rice has discovered while assisting people.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. Our guest tonight is Pat Rice, whose website is spiritualbeings101.com. Pat, before the break, you were telling us about Jesus and his studying with the sages. Please finish that thought.
Well, I think all historians and scholars know that he went over to India and he went first to Egypt. There's a Bible verse in there when his father died, they said, out of Egypt I have called my son. They're talking about he was over there studying. But many people who visit Egypt will go to the Giza pyramid and go into the king's chamber. And that's where the 12th initiation was given, which was the highest initiation one could attain. And that's what Jesus took while he was there. In other words, he went as high as anybody could go in connecting with his soul, you might say. But, Sharon, I think, if you don't mind, that we should probably tell them that everybody talk about the chart for every single person that's made out. The average person doesn't know this.
Oh, please, continue.
Okay. When it's time for a person to be born, it's very important to the soul. Now, remember, we are the body that carries the soul, and the soul needs us to go through life and have these experiences. So the soul makes out a very important chart, or a guideline, if you would like to use that word. And inside this guideline are contained the lessons that the soul needs to learn and work on in this life. Also in this guideline, the soul picks out the mother and father so that the new baby will have the best chance. Because, see, the soul can't move forward unless we succeed, in getting these lessons done. So it picks the best set of parents to give you these experiences. And then it goes, the soul is very important that it picks out themes, and the themes are the things that give you the impetus. So, for example, if you are supposed to go into the service and distinguish yourself that way, you will probably get the warrior theme. But if you're supposed to be a teacher, you will most likely get a theme that moves you in that direction, like a sage or some person who needs to learn words of wisdom to teach others. So the soul picks out your themes, and then also it's pretty important, the soul has certain people that are going to show up in your life to give you the opportunity for the good things in life that the soul would like to see you achieve. And so this is what I was talking to you about. And one of the things that is easy to do when you ask, the high self of the other person, okay, where are the years of achievements? Where has the soul planned for the right person and the right thing to happen so that the soul can make a great advancement? And so what I was asking for you was, of course, when would you, as a soul down here, make your 3 best decisions? And when would you have the wonderful opportunities given to you? And when would you make the greatest spiritual achievements in your life? And so these are the things when people come to see me and they say, oh my God, my life's fallen apart, my husband walked out, or my child's on drugs, or whatever. The important part for people is to understand while they're sitting there on the couch falling apart, and I'm trying to explain this to them, is that many times they are having to let go of old patterns, things that are no longer serving them. And so this is very important. I wish I could go on TV and get every child who's 12 years old and somehow find a way to speak to all of them at one time. And I don't think we would have so many frustrated people. The sad thing to me, Sharon, is just like every state in the United States has a curriculum. And the first graders are supposed to learn this, and the second graders and the third graders, and, by the 12th grade, you're supposed to be qualified for a citizen. But guess what? No matter how good the teachers are and how safe the schools are and how good the curriculum is, you have free choice down here. And that means that no matter how well the educators are trying to help you, if you want to get involved in a gang or you want to get off on drugs or something like that, then that great plan falls apart and you probably drop out of school. Well, the same thing is true for the soul. The soul gives every opportunity to us to meet the right people, to make the right choices, but we have free choice. And that is the one thing that distinguishes us from animals. Animals run on instinct. So when man was created, man was given dominion because he now had a reasoning brain and he could make his own choices. And so many times, Sharon, what we are doing is choosing the same dysfunctional pattern. So people in one family that have problems with alcohol, many times will have children who have the same type of problem. And we can all name many kinds of problems that seem to show up in families. So the soul tries so hard to give us the opportunities and send the right people to help us to make sure that we do a good job, because if we do, that allows the soul to move forward. So if I had one wish, it would be that everybody could have the chart revealed to them of what the goals should be in this life and what the words are that they're working on. In some of our indigenous cultures, many times the children particularly are given a vision quest, and the elders interpret that, and from that point on, everybody in the tribe asks that child about how he's doing in what the Great Spirit, the message the Great Spirit sent. And I wish we had that. I don't think we'd have so many lost and lonely children here if everybody understood they had a purpose and that God had a plan for them and that the soul was pulling out all the stops.
Right, and that they had worth and value. You mentioned
that. Oh, my Lord, yes. I mean, if the soul's giving it to you, you know it does.
You mentioned that the role of our parents in our lives, there were quite a few things there that you mentioned that I went, I want to know more about this. So how do our parents' dysfunctions help us?
Well, it's, I guess twofold, okay? If your parents are having problems, let's say, with their tempers or with anger issues, and you grow up in a household where there is nothing but fussing and fighting and anger, you have two choices. You can either say, you know what, as soon as I can, I am getting out of here, and I will never, ever use anger in a relationship when I get married. Or you can go to the dating times and find somebody who has anger issues, and where anybody else would get a red flag, it just seems normal to you. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have a choice to be so entrenched in it that you say, oh, my God, let me out of here. I will never have that ruin my life like it's ruined my parents. Or you just get so used to it that you go out and pick a partner just like them because that's all you've ever known.
And I think that that's a lot of violence, how it comes down through families.
Oh, Lord, yes. I think, yes, for sure. So the parents are picked because they have many times the issues that you're trying to break out of.
Oh, I love that.
Or on the positive side, they have the abilities that your soul wants you to accrue and to be encouraged by. For example, if your parents were very good at singing or your parents were very good at gardening or something, then they would be more conducive when you showed a talent in drawing or a talent in tennis. They'd say, oh, it's very important for you to cultivate your gifts because then you'll be happy or to get a hobby, and then you won't get all mixed up in drugs. And so many times the parents have really good qualities that the soul wants to pass on, to help them build these things in their children. And then sometimes the negative qualities seem somehow to overshadow the good ones, and the kids, pick them up, repeat the same pattern.
Okay, so how does the soul pick out a theme or our dominant personality trait for a lifetime?
There are 44 of them. And so depending on what you need in a lifetime, for example, you probably got winner, or you probably got warrior because you had a trail to blaze here. Look at you. You're on your on your radio show. And so you had to step out from the normal crowds. You invented your wonderful book. Wrote your wonderful books and things, and no one had done that before. So the soul would have given you a very creative or a very innate desire to achieve, is the way I would describe you. So there are 44 themes. If you're going to be a jock, the soul, if you're going to be a professional ball player, then your soul picks out a theme for physical endurance. Do you see what I'm saying? The theme the soul gives you is exactly what you need to propel yourself into what the soul needs for you to do in this life. And there are 44 different themes.
So let's say entrapment is one of those 44. How would that play out, or how would it show up at different stages in our life?
Well, it would not be a theme. It would be more like an issue that you needed to resolve, okay? A theme is usually for your benefit. Entrapment is usually something that borders on a karmic situation that we need to repeat a lifetime and try again because we didn't get the lesson right. Karma's about balancing, okay? And so in my case, I had to come in 3 lifetimes in a row because I was trapped in being an enabler.
Okay.
Doing everything for everybody else and never giving them a chance, to have to stand on their own 2 feet and fight,
Okay, hold
so
that thought.
Was my negative, but it wasn't
Okay.
it wasn't a theme. Okay. It was
Hold that thought, because we need to take our last break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You on xzbn.net and knowthename.com. After the break, we'll find out what Pat Rice has in her name that has assisted her that you might have in your name as well.
Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. Our guest tonight is Pat Rice, whose website is spiritualbeings101.com. She has taken her skills to a level where she's able to assist others by answering their questions regarding where they are on the spiritual path and what would benefit them to do next. Pat, right before the break, you were talking to us at the very beginning about karma. And according to research, 2/3 of the world's population has accepted reincarnation to be true. Is this a reality in your understanding? And if it is, I would love to know what you think of as karmic retribution.
Yes, karma to me is an absolute reality. It was even in the Bible until they took it out. So anyway, karma can come about by 2 things. One is that the word sin that we were, I guess, had beaten into us as children when we went to church was that it was unforgivable and, you were a horrible person. But in the Aramaic language, which Jesus spoke, it just meant missing the mark. And so it bothered me a whole lot why God, everybody said God's forgiving, loving, he'll always forgive you. It bothered me about child molesters and, rapists and these things, how they could forgive them. And finally, I understood after a great deal of reading that they weren't talking about that they were just saying, okay, it's fine. They said, well, just come back in the next life, and we will have someone do to you what you did to them, and in that case, we'll balance out. So in other words, no one expected you to get it right the first time, and so when you come back in, you will have someone turn the tables on you. Shireen, you can have little kids around, and you say, don't touch the stove, do not touch the stove, do not get near that stove. But until they burn themselves, they pretty much won't stop. And that's almost the principle of karma. In other words, the next life when you come in and somebody does something to you that's very painful, then you say, wow, I'll never do that to anybody. That hurts way too bad. And so the more evolved you are, the more you realize that it's important not to go back in anger with someone or to harm someone, that it's much better to try to resolve the issue instead of, having retribution between you. So karma is part of your chart every time you come in. You have something called karmic retribution, which are the words you need to work on again. That's all. You're going to be given different set of circumstances, and hopefully you'll do it better this time. And then you also have a set of words called the desired traits, which are the new words that the soul is introducing for you to work on, and hopes that you'll have, success in your experiences down here. Because remember, the soul is sending you the people that will help you,
right.
Work
well,
through these words.
You've jokingly stated that a person can't be sitting on their couch eating bonbons and watching TV and expect to do a lot of karma. So how does one...
And then the sad thing is, if you refuse to move forward for the soul, well, guess what? All the things you should have done in this life and never got around to because you were stuck in some pattern, like the ostrich, put your head in the sand. Well, you have an entirely new chart the next life, and so you've got to take anything you refuse to do and put it and give yourself double duty in the next life. Now, you don't want to do that. I mean, it's hard enough as it is with 8 to 10 lessons, much less adding these on top of what you would do in the next life to advance the soul.
So how does one determine how much...
I mean, like when I see somebody who's made a lot of progress and they've done 75% of their lessons, it's very clear to me that they have not been sitting on the couch, that they have been in the trenches, and that the soul gave the lessons and they worked through them, the third time around.
So how does one determine how much karma has been completed thus far in one's life?
Well, I have to ask that. I don't know any other way to do that, So if you're 44 years old when you come to me, but if you were 13 when you came to me, all right, so if I said how much karma, how many words has the soul worked on, what percent have they completed? If you're 13, it's probably not going to be but 10%. But if you're 44, you're going to probably have done 45 or 50% of the lessons that you were here to work on. So a lot of it has to do with the older you are, the more experiences you have, and the more you can get through the karma. Did I answer that okay for you?
Yeah, you did. Thank you. You just completed a novel. It's called The Great Thrust Upon Us that recently came out. Would you tell us about your novel and why you wrote it or what it was that you wanted to get across through this novel?
Well, I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is a beautiful coastal town here. We're bordered by the river and the ocean, and it is just steeped in history. And I had been wanting to write a book about spirituality, And one day I was driving downtown and saw one of the monuments to the Civil War, and I said, oh, my Lord, that's what I'll do, because Wilmington was very active during the Civil War. And so I came up with the questions that I wanted to get across in my book, like who is God, and what is, does someone communicate with you after death? Is there a plan for your life? I had a number of questions, and then I just made up the characters, and I had them ask the questions in the novel, or I had the karma happen to them in the novel, and then the main character, of course, would explain the karma, and the main character would have the answer for the lessons. And so Greatness Thrust Upon Us is talking about how you step into your power. In other words, in the Civil War, the guys had to go off to war. I mean, there really wasn't much choice about it, and the women were left behind, and their families were torn apart because some people fought for the South and some people fought for the North. So it was a wonderful background for karmic situations and family, just horrible things happening in the family. So it gave me a lot of room to talk about the spiritual things and people asking why this is happening. Well, so it was my desire to do a good turn for my hometown, and it was also my desire to be able to have a way to talk about the answers to why things happen the way they do.
Well, on your website also, your spiritualbeginnings101.com, you talk about hiring an angel. And when I read that, I thought, who would have thought about hiring an angel? That's really a stretch for our minds. So how does, in a very brief way, please, how does one go about hiring an angel?
You just ask them. There are, in the Bible, it says there are legions and legions and legions of angels up there just waiting, that one of the major rules of the universe is ask and ye shall receive, And so I do a lot of work with people on grids, and I'll say, now, this is what we need to do. We're going to hire some angels, like, for instance, if a child was being bullied at school. And I would say, okay, I'm just going to hire 4 angels, and I'm going to ask them to stay with your child and to protect your child and so forth and so on. Or if someone's sick, I'll hire angels to go and be in the hospital room, with the family members to help them find comfort and be able to speak whatever the person needs. And so to me, I work with angels every day. I mean, it's my joy. They are the most wonderful, loving creatures you've ever seen, and they want so much to help us. Now, I do hope that everybody out there listening knows that you were assigned a guardian angel the day you were born. And that guardian angel is with you no matter whether you're 95 or whether you're 22 or whether you're 3. And the guardian angel's job is to protect you and to bring the things to you that the soul is desiring for you to have. So you can call on your guardian angel. You don't have to hire the angel. The angel's already working for you. But you can call on your guardian angel every day and ask your guardian angel to help you with whatever is in front of you. But hiring an angel is, when I teach my classes, that is the first thing I talk to people about, that angels cannot interfere unless you ask them. So when you're going through these horrible things, you need to call on your angels and ask, not just for yourself now. You may have a child that something's happening to, or a best friend, to place the angels around them.
Pat, I want to thank you so much for joining us on this show, and I love the fact that we have a new skill to hire an angel. Be prepared and be surprised and pleased when you experience Pat Rice's work. Her website, again, is spiritualbeginnings101.com. Pat's name indicates that she excels at discernment and searching for the truth. This is found in the letter R. If you have R in your first or middle name, then you too have a desire for truth and being able to tell us what illusion versus reality is. Do you know where your genius lies? I'm your own Lynn Wyeth, signing off.